Hi, everyone. So we're going to start this class. The point of the class is more learning than a practical halacha. We'll definitely come across some practical halacha along the way, but anything ultimately has to be asked to a local Orthodox, your local Orthodox rabbi.
Don't you want?
Well, you could come ask me privately, and I'll tell you to go ask me on the question. I might have to tell you to go on to the higher ups. No. Okay, so now also there's no need for a Shulchan Aruch over here because I do plan on sharing my screen, and on my screen will be the Shulchan Aruch, right? You hear that? So let me pull it up. I'm going to use Safaria, at least for now. We're going to be starting with the halachas of halachas Pesach, Taf Samach Tes. The halachas of setting aside meat, on calling meat for the Carbon Pesach on before Pesach. I could really, what was I going to say? I don't know what I was going to say. Okay, fine. Oh yeah. So really, there is something before this. There's previous. Let me pull this up. This in Orach Chaim. This is 569. 469. Yeah. I'm going to share the screen in a minute. Yeah, okay. Let me share my screen. Not that one. There you go. Okay. So everyone hears me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
The question is if I want to hear you, Eric.
Well, that is an entirely different discussion, which I'm way ahead of you on. I was planning on having with you before now. I just haven't gotten around to it.
Gotcha. Okay. So do you see this little orange thing, red, flying around the screen?
Yes.
Yeah, I see it.
Fine. So that's going to be the pointer, and you can follow along. Okay. Taf Samach Tes. Now, the truth is that the Hilchos Erev Pesach really starts with Taf Samach Ches, which is really 468. The one should not really do any work whatsoever during Pesach. Erev Pesach, the Pesach Eve, before Chatzos, before midday. Now I'm going to skip that. It's pretty lengthy. There's a lot of back and forth when you could, when you can't. Essential services are allowed to be open, oddly enough. The shoemaker and the barber, a tailor, a butcher.
What about the candlestick maker?
Very good.
Yeah.
Now, I guess the essential services, I'm not even going to talk about that now. Unfortunately, most of this will not be open before Pesach. And of course, there is a mitzvah to take a haircut before Pesach, so you better order your haircut, your clippers on Amazon or Walmart ASAP. Amazon's really not working to Amazon. At this point, it doesn't look like Amazon will deliver your clippers on time. So we're just going to skip that, and we're going to go to Shloi Lachid Basar LePesach. One should not go ahead and be miyachid meat for Pesach. So I see Jose and Hadassah just joined. So what we're going to do is we're just going to I'm sharing my screen, and you Jose, do you see the pointer, Hadassah?
I do. Thank you. Yeah,
okay,
perfect.
All right, great. Okay, so Shloi Liachid Basar LePesach. Also, Leimer al Shum Behema Ben Chai Ben Shchuta is forbidden on any animal, whether it is a domestic animal, whether it's alive, whether it's dead, basar zel pesach, whether it's shechted, whether it's slaughtered, whether it's not, one cannot go ahead and say this meat is going to be for Pesach. Now, the fee why shinira shagdisho mechayim, because then I might be afraid that you're makdish it, you made it holy. While it was alive, the Carbon Pesach, I might think that you set aside the animal for the Carbon Pesach. Part of the process of actually bringing the Carbon Pesach is that you have to say, this animal is going to be holy for the Carbon Pesach, and then you bring it to Yerushalayim on the eve of Pesach, and you slaughter it and you eat it in Yerushalayim. Now, if someone sees you actually set it aside, he might think that you are setting it aside for the Carbon Pesach. and therefore, and then he sees you eat it, and then at night, the night of the Seder, when you eat it, it will look like you're eating animals which are set aside, karbanos, sacrificed outside of the area you were allowed to eat it. El Yomar, so what do you say? So you should not say this meat is for Pesach. El Yomar basar el Yom Tov. Just say this meat is for the holiday. Haga. Now the Ramah throws in Vigdi. A gedi makulish. Now a gedi, where it's going to be a goat or a sheep. If it's what's makulish or pirish, it explains shalim al roishay val kral val kirbay, that it's complete. It's a complete animal. It's skinned, obviously skinned, but it's complete. You didn't cut off its feet. You didn't cut off you left its innards to a certain extent, and then you put it on a spit and you roast it. I mean, a complete animal roasting on a spit. Even though you did not say this meat is for the carbon pesach, it's also to do it and eat it the night of the Seder, because that is something, that's how they prepared, that is the exact way, in fact, halachic way that they had to prepare the carbon pesach. Therefore, again, we don't want you mimicking the carbon pesach. Go back to Mechaber. However, it is permitted to say this wheat is for the carbon pesach, and we shall explain shortly. We will explain shortly what is the significance and the reason why you could say, or the reason why you shouldn't. What would be the reason you can't say wheat is for Pesach? Now we're going to go on the right side, or if you're left side, it's my right side. I don't know about you. The Mishnah Berurah. We're going to go to the Mishnah Berurah. Aleph, Asur Loimar. So we said it's forbidden for one to state that this meat is for the carbon pesach. Hainu lechatchila. That's the best way to do it. However, Avo b'diavad. But if you by mistake you do say it, it's not going to make it that the animal or that piece of meat is now forbidden. Ein la'asar habasar b'achila is still permitted. Therefore, lechatchila is best that you do not say this meat is for carbon pesach. However, if you rather this meat is for Pesach. However, if you do say it, don't worry about it. You could eat the meat. Beis al shum behema, and Mechaber said over here that one should not say it on any animal. Hainu afilu hu katan, even if it's a very small animal. Gam eni gedi v'tla, v'leichazli pesach, or nor. Let's say it's a cow. Let's say it's beef. Beef is not. You can't fulfill the obligation of the current pesach with beef. However, anyway. It's going to be forbidden. Even any meat, even the other animals which are not, which you cannot fulfill the obligation of the carbon pesach. Why? Because there's a further problem. Because I might think that your mekadesh, you set aside, you made the cow or the beef or whatever is holy, and you plan on if you can't bring that for the carbon pesach. However, what you could do is you could sell it while it's still alive. Take that money, go buy a goat or a sheep, and bring that for the carbon pesach. And therefore, someone's going to think that you never sold the animal, and you're left with this animal which you're not allowed to eat. You have to sell it and take the money. If you're eating that animal, again, you're eating holy animals outside. Therefore, you should not tell someone, please go ahead and roast for me a shank bone for Pesach. So not only should you not say, do not buy from me for Pesach, don't refer to any meat with the words for Pesach. Rather say for Yom Tov. Now, it looks like from the words of the Mechaber, that's only an animal which could be brought in the Mizbeach, meaning a cow, a calf, a sheep, a lamb. But let's say take an animal which you can't bring on the Mizbeach, for let's say a deer. Or chicken and fish, which cannot be brought on the base on the carbon on the mizbeach on the altar. No, still it's forbidden according to some because again you could take the fish and you could say this fish is consecrated for Pesach and you have to sell it, take the money and bring it to carbon Pesach. Even though many people are very mekel, very lenient, and most people say no. When we say you're not allowed to say this is for Pesach, we're only referring to an animal which could, or a type of meat which could be brought on the mizbeach. This does not include chicken and fish. Therefore, still it's better not to stay for carbon Pesach, just to err on the side of caution. Others, right? Kain So how about could you say, I think it means b'lashain acher, that there is a, let me look that up. Beis lam and aleph. This is Beis. Is it b'lashain acher? Hold on. B'lashain Ashkenaz. Basar zeh al Pesach. Yeah. So some people say that you could say it in, that's German, or in English. Could you say it in English? This meat is for Passover. So that he said, that like a potato, there's nothing wrong with that. I would say it in Hebrew. In order to makdash something, you really should say it in Hebrew. In order to consecrate something for the Mizbeach, you should say it in Hebrew. Therefore, if you could say in English, according to this, you could say in English, I want this meat for Passover. You should not say this meat is for Pesach. You should not say in Hebrew, Pesach. This meat is for Pesach. We're going to Gimel Basar al Pesach. Who din shasar ladam laimar heilich mois halalu bekanali behem basar al Pesach. And mamar kanali behem basar al Pesach mutter. Also, someone should not say, "Here's money, go buy for me meat for Pesach." Rather, you should say, "Go buy for me basar al Pesach," which literally means meat on Pesach, meaning go buy for me meat which I will eat on Pesach. That you can say. Just the words you should stay away from is basar le Pesach. Do not say I want to acquire meat for Pesach. Ela Yomar, rather, again, the same thing as before. Whether you're buying it, whether you're salting it, avoid those words as much as possible. Basar le Pesach, meat for Pesach. Now, the last thing over here, or the second to the last one, is that we said you should not go ahead and roast a full animal, a full sheep, on a spit. Right? So you should not go ahead and roast a full animal. You shouldn't do it after midday, nor should you do it on the night of Pesach, because after midday was when one was allowed already to start preparing the Karban Pesach for the night of the state. He's going to explain later on there's more issues to eat roast on the night of Pesach and perhaps preparing earlier, but this is not the place. Okay, one last one. However, it is permitted to say this wheat will be for Pesach. So what in the world could be wrong with saying this wheat is for Pesach? We can't bring the wheat as a carbon anyway. Explains the Mishnah Berurah, the kivan deloy dami klal kachim, since it's not comparative at all to kachim. I might think that one will say, I mean to say is I'm going to take this wheat, I'm going to sell it, take the money, and buy an animal for the Karban Pesach. Therefore, the wheat itself is already whole. I might think, you by saying this wheat is for Pesach, you mean to say this meat is for the Karban Pesach, and therefore it's going to be holy, and you're not allowed to eat it on Pesach or make it into matzah. So what does one usually mean to say when he says this meat is for Pesach? This wheat is for the Pesach. What he really means to say is that watch it in order it doesn't become chametz. So in order that it does not become chametz on Pesach. Okay, now we are going. So that's any questions? That's the overall point. Don't say in Hebrew basar zeh le Pesach. Don't say please go buy me basar le Pesach. Don't say I'm going to roast basar le Pesach. If you're saying in Hebrew, say basar le Yom Tov. I am roasting basar for Yom Tov. And I think it looks like in English it's not a problem. One has no issue of saying I'm going to roast this animal for Passover. Any questions? You can mute yourself, I guess. No? Okay. We're going to go starting the next one. At least we'll cover the first one at least. Firstborns have to fast on the day of Erev Pesach. HaBachiris, says the Mechaber, HaBachiris mis'anin be'erev Pesach. The Bachiris are required to go ahead and fast on Erev Pesach, bein bachar ma'av, bein bachar me'em, whether it is a firstborn from the mother or a firstborn from the father, meaning it's the first time the woman had a child or the first time the father had a child. And he throws in that some say that even a first female born to parents also has to fast. The Ramah holds, however, it's not the custom. So it looked like according to Sfardim, I don't know what Sfardim actually do. Jose, you can help me out here if you know, that a female firstborn should also fast. Did you ever hear of that?
No.
No. All right. Okay, now let's read the Mishnah Berurah. All right, got it. The Bechayres are supposed to fast. Because on the last Makkah, the last plague that God brought upon the Mitzrayim was the plague of the firstborns. All the firstborns died, besides for the firstborns of the Jew. Therefore, we are commemorating and thanking HaKadosh Baruch Hu, thanking God that He did not wipe out the Bechayres, because it had that halachic status of a plague where people were dying. And at that point, we learned that by a plague, as sort of God releases the Malach HaMaves, one of the angels, to destroy, and he doesn't differentiate between good people and bad people. Once this specific angel is let loose, everyone's in danger, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself saved the firstborns of the Jews, and therefore we're commemorating that and thanking him. Beis bein bechar shemakas bechayres haisa bekulam kisa b'medrash. The makas bechayres happened to the firstborns in Egypt, whether it was a firstborn of a man or firstborn of a woman. This is based on the Medrash. The Medrash writes, is that as each firstborn died in Egypt, the next child, who now is considered the oldest, even though he wasn't the first of the womb, but he was considered the oldest, he also died. And slowly it knocked out everyone in Egypt at some point was a firstborn at some point if the older sibling passed away. So therefore, even though that is a Medrash, the halach is that no, we don't all have to, if there's no firstborn, for whatever the case is, unfortunately the firstborn passed away, if someone has had an older brother, and he passed away, he does not have to fast because that far we're not going to take it. However, he writes here, now he writes, what about a firstborn that comes after a nafal is a miscarriage? So someone had an older sibling that was unfortunately was a stillborn. So halachically, he does not have to have a pidyon ben. He doesn't get redeemed. So he doesn't have a high status of a firstborn. However, he does have the firstborn of a nachla of inheritance, meaning he'll get a double portion when it comes to inheritance. So therefore, we're saying he also has to fast because he still has a somewhat of a status of a firstborn. This is only if it's an actual stillborn vada. I mean, a nafal vada is you know for a fact the child came out full term. Fortunately, it was not alive. Hold on, give me a minute. Yeah, okay. This is only if it's a stillborn, meaning it came out dead. It came out just not alive. However, what happens in Jewish law, the first 30 days, you won't really view the child as alive because you have to pass 30 days in order to actually prove that it's alive. The first 30 days is extremely unstable, at least it used to be. So what happens if within the first 30 days someone had a sibling who passed away? That ain't sarach l's'anes u'b'chayim, and that you don't have to fast. Therefore, someone has a sibling that came out as stillborn, he will have to fast. If someone's sibling died within it came out alive, and however passed away in the first 30 days, they do not have to fast. Interestingly, again, the Bechar, the firstborn of a Levi, the firstborn of a Kohen, of a priest, there's no pidyon ben, right? If someone has even a Bas Levi, if the mother of a firstborn child, the mother's a Levi and the father's a Yisrael, still there's going to be there's no pidyon ben. However, in this case, even the firstborns of the Kohanim, the priests and the Levim, do have to fast. Even if it's just a bechar from the mother. Pretty much at the end of the day. Any firstborn has to fast. Let's say if you can't make it. Sorry about that. I just made it bigger. I'll just leave it at that. Let me find it again. That if you missed the Tainis Bechar, let's for whatever the reason is, you couldn't make it, you were too sick, and whatever the reason is, or you messed up. If you halachic stat, if you were sick, that's one thing. But if you just didn't do it, then you have to make it up. To have a Tainis Tzibur, it has a halachic status of a regular communal fast. However, if he's sick or he's not feeling well, he has a headache, then you don't have to fast and you don't have to make it up. If someone is very hard for him to fast, and therefore after the fasting he won't be able to eat matzah and mari because he's so wiped out, he only can eat very light things. And if a bachar, because he's fasting, he's not going to be able to properly be mekayim, fulfill the obligation of the Seder night. At that point, then they should not fast. Okay. It is such a fast. It's a real fast. And when it comes to mincha, they should recite the regular fast prayers in Shmona Esrei. And if the hands off over here that there's a minion of Bechayrim and they're all fasting by mincha, then they should when they go the Chazar Shas when they go over the prayer when they re-recite the Chazar Shas when the Chazar recites it, he should say Anenu as well. So we're up to here. Okay, we're up to Gimel. Hold on, where am I? What's up here? Gimel. Shafilu nekeva b'chayra. Shemakas b'chayras haisagam alein kedusah medrash. Because why female firstborns? Because they also were caught into the plague in Mitzrayim. Ve'ein haminag kain. However, the minhag is not so. The minhag is not for female firstborns. Because we don't really find any halachic status of a b'chayra of a female firstborn, and that's pretty much it. We're up to Taf Aleph Beis, and we can continue this tomorrow. However, just to finish off, there is a question this year because we will learn. Does he say that here? I don't know where they say it, but we'll see. But the one way out of it is to make a siyum. If one makes a siyum, one completes a tractate, they could go ahead and then they don't have to fast. That's the way out, not to fast. So this year, we'll talk about it tomorrow. What happens this year? Unfortunately, it'll be very hard to find a siyum. There will be no minion, perhaps, in this another 2 weeks. It doesn't look likely there'll be a minion. And I think, they talk, Rabbi, I know Rabbi, we spoke about it already. So I just happened to listen to Rabbi first, just 2 minutes ago before this, and Rabbi first did say that you could do it through a Zoom. He quoted Rav Shem Zalman Auerbach. Rav Shem Zalman Auerbach said is that soldiers who are in some remote camp, they are allowed to listen through online or back then it was through the phone to join a siyum and therefore get out of actual fasting. I think that's how they wrote it. If you look, there's a certain chat that they were talking about this. If anyone wants to chime in, and there's other reasons from other people. So therefore, that would be a way out. Or you could start now and start preparing a masechta and have it ready in 2 weeks if there's a bachar. Michael, you're bachar?
I am.
Oh, so this is applicable. Guess you'll be working on it. Eric, Jose, you're bachar?
Yeah. No, I'm not.
No?
I have an older sister.
Gotcha. And Hadassah has a question. Why can't we do the same? Hadassah, what were you referring to? Should I unmute you? Hadassah, can I unmute you? I'm not sure what you're referring to. Then why can't we do the same? That was at 123. You're talking about I'm not sure what she's referring to. Why can't we do the same? What do you mean? For this year? Yes, so that's what's good. That's going to be the psak. That's going to be the halachic. Either you can listen in. The only problem with the listening is that you don't need a minyan anyway for a siyum.
Yeah.
Say again?
Because it's not in person. That's what.
Yeah, it's true. Meaning you don't need a minyan for a siyum. That for sure you don't need. You can make a siyum yourself. You don't need a minyan for a siyum. And you're right. Hadassah is saying instead of fasting, that's going to be the answer. So at least one thing is to listen in, which I'm sure there'll be tons of calls to listen in. Right. Alternatively, they said that I think Rabbi Fisher, Rabbi Brock and Rabbi Fisher are going to recommend giving tzedakah. I'm not sure how that helps, but I'm sure we'll find out quickly. But yes, don't worry, Michael.
In addition to the siyum, or is it?
No, I think they're going to give tzedakah initially, but why can't hurt? Listen to the siyum. Why not?
Yeah, I'm not saying not to, but
yeah. So I think that's. I'm pretty sure. Let me look. What was it?
There's much I can eat anyway.
Hold on. Yeah, how much could you? So hold on, let me look. Where was that? Let me look. It looks like they're gonna go with the tzedakah route here in town. It looks like this is a psak of. Yeah, I mean, where is that? Sorry. It looks like there's a psak from of Hershel Schachter, someplace here. Oh, this is Tfilas Kalim. That's something else. Mechiras Chametz. Does he talk about it? Regarding the fast of the first one, Rav Yosef Hankin, who was a great sage, pretty much in the Lower East Side in the 60s and 50s, 60s, 70s, post-war era. But in our time, the custom of first one fasting no longer exists because everyone participates in the same. There's clearly no mandate to fast since we find people who don't participate in actual Sudas Mitzvah, instead following the same. They simply partake of some juice and cookies. Therefore, Hankin felt it was property of tzedakah to the place of custom fasting. I mean, according to Hankin, the whole thing was a joke. Do you actually sit down and wash? No, you sit down, you take a cup of orange juice, and you walk away. So anyway, no one did it. So therefore, it's better. He said it's better to give tzedakah in the place of fasting. The pastors, those people who travel on Erev Pesach, participate in seeing over the phone and internet. Same practice can be relied upon this year or not, again, because of the coronavirus. So according to Rashach, it's both reasons. Either you could join together or you give tzedakah. Tzedakah, we find many times when one has to fast because he did something wrong in halacha, we find that giving tzedakah does alleviate that. They talk about it in Hilchos Nida. They talk about it by the dropping of a Sefer Torah. So I guess that's where it's coming from. So there's your, there you go. All right, everyone. Okay.
Thank you so much, Rabbi.
All right, we'll try to continue this tomorrow. Okay, take care, guys.
Hey, Jose.